Hi, I'm Tommy. If you're not at 216 Creator Studios, this is what it sounds like. Now, if you are at 216 Creator Studios, this is what it sounds like.
Yeah! 216creatorstudios.com. Hey, welcome back to another great episode of Around the Piano with your host, Tim Paul. Hey, listen, Cappuccino behind the screen here. Listen, if you like what you see here today, make sure to go to the YouTube, 216 Creator Studios. Go ahead and click that like, share, subscribe, ding that bell. Why, Tim?
Because you don't want to ever miss another episode
That's
of Around the
Feature
Piano.
notifications, and we appreciate your support. Tim, how you been?
Hey, I've been great. How you been?
Good. It
Yeah.
seems like it's been forever since we've done this last.
It does, right? Right?
you know,
It's at least minutes
We got
apart
through
from our
the
last
NAMM
episode.
series and gearing up for 2026 NAMM.
Yeah, we're already making plans for that, and I think it's going to be super exciting. I can't wait to share some of the things we're going to do later on.
I know. You know what's funny? By the time I'm done editing with Nico here, it's already time to go back.
Right. It truly is.
It never ends. So we have a great guest here today, and we're going to have a lot of fun. But speaking of fun, let's get paid by a sponsor.
Here we go. Welcome to Piano Trends Music and Band Company, Crystal Lake, Illinois. I'm Tim Paul, and I'm one of the owners here at Piano Trends, and I want to tell you 3 things about Piano Trends Music. Here's what you're going to find. Fun, more fun, and even more fun. That's right. You're going to have fun learning to play an instrument. We've got a lot of fun instruments to choose from for you to purchase, buy, or rent. And we have fun repairing your own instrument to get it up to snuff just for you. And your timing might be just perfect when you come visit us for fun. We might just have a live jam session going on with lifting spirits through music. And you're welcome to join us or just watch. Plus, you never know who's going to show up at Piano Trends Music. Like this guy. PianoTrends.com. We'll see you soon.
So, Tim, you have a special guest in-house, or actually remote today. I shouldn't say in-house. She actually pops in.
She actually pops in and out,
by the old interweb. Tell us a little bit about your guest today.
Well, I'll tell you what, our guest today is a wonderful piano player, singer, musician, Fiona Joy Hawkins. We're going to bring her on in just a second, but we should note that if she looks a little blurry-eyed, it's 3:30 in the morning right now when we're recording this from Australia.
Right. Go ahead, bring her in. Let's see how blurry-eyed.
Come on in, Fiona.
There she is. Coffee cup, I'm sure, in hand. Awesome. She does not look blurry-eyed.
No.
I look more blurry-eyed than she does. She looks fantastic.
You know what? I must be. Are you pulling an all-nighter, or what are you doing there, Fiona?
I'm pulling an all-nighter. My alarm went off at 3:00 this morning. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for joining us and pulling an all-nighter so you could be with us here on Around the Piano. And
no problem. Thank you.
We certainly enjoy your music. I said we've been listening to. I actually have been listening to your music for a while because our mutual friend Beth Hilton pointed out and sent me some of your recordings early on, and your music relaxes people.
It does.
Without a doubt. Yeah.
does.
So we really appreciate it. In fact, I wish you had do you have a piano right nearby? We could hear something.
I have a piano in the other room.
Gotcha.
Next door.
Next show.
Next show, we'll do that for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And it's a beautiful piano. It's totally unique. It's a handmade Australian piano, and it's got 97 keys, and it's made from hewn pine. So it's kind of it's a concert grand. It's completely something different.
Oh, I'd like you. Could you send us some pictures at some point? I'd love to see
sounds
that.
cool.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful piano.
It's just out of curiosity. So how did you obtain that piano?
Well, I was living with my parents at the time. I'd just been through a divorce, as happens to some of us in mid-age. And I moved back in with my mum and dad, and I didn't have a piano there. And just around the corner was a piano manufacturer. And he said, why don't you come into the showroom and practice the piano here and use my piano? And it just happened to be Wayne Stewart from Stewart and Sons Pianos. And I've always wanted something amazingly wonderful like that. So I ended up buying a piano from him. And yeah, it's the most beautiful thing I own. I love it. I feel like I'm the custodian of it.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. Now, have you done any recording on your piano?
Absolutely. This album that I've just recorded is recorded on that piano, and I have a couple of albums recorded on it. We don't have a recording studio here, so it's always an interesting process what we have to do to make the house, I guess, work for a recording. But yeah, I have used this piano. It's an amazing piano.
Terrific. Now, you obviously perform worldwide. How often do you come to the States here?
I haven't been since COVID, but I used to come all the time, and I used to play a lot in China. I've probably played in maybe 30 concert halls in China, and I've toured all over the US 1 or 2 times a year. But it's just since COVID, I haven't been back. The world changed.
Yeah, just a little bit, right? Just a little bit.
Yeah, and some of us didn't quite kind of make it back, but I'm still writing just as much and recording and staying just as busy and being super, super busy with YouTube and creating videos as well. So that's been heaps of fun.
Oh, excellent. So tell us about your creative process. We talk to so many people, and they all seem to have a different creative process. How do you create a new song from start to finish? Is it the same pattern you follow? Does it different ways?
It really varies. It depends. Sometimes the rhythm comes first, sometimes the melody. Sometimes I'll be, in the shower, and all of a sudden a melody will pop into my head and I'll start singing it, and then I just have to race down to the piano. Other times I'll get a rhythm and I'll just improvise on it. It really varies. But this album, I put myself into, I guess you could say, a self-imposed lockdown. The 6 weeks. My husband was overseas. He was doing the Peking to Paris car rally. So he was away for a full 6 weeks. And I literally went out of the house like once a week to go to the supermarket, and that's it. Just completely, really dug deep, pulled out all my old photo albums, drank a bottle of wine, got all emotional and dramatic and cried and found stories. I dug really deep to find stories that had value to write about, because I think you have to have something to say in your music. So that was the creative process behind this particular album.
Oh, that's interesting. Now, I know you had alluded to that with this current album recording, that there was a story behind that. Could you share that with us?
Oh my gosh, everything went wrong. Everything went wrong. We started out, I was going to be recording at the Manning Entertainment Centre, which is in a little town, maybe an hour away. And we got there and we started setting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, as you do. And they just had this most amazingly beautiful piano. And it's kind of a bit more like a recording studio than here. We thought it was going to work out a lot better. And my producer had produced bands and choirs and all sorts of things, but he had never produced a solo piano album where there's lots of kind of quiet moments. And what happened as the building was warming up, and it was very, very cold, it was the middle of winter, and as it was warming up, because it was made of steel, you get all the cracks and the pops, and we just couldn't get a clean take. So about 9 o'clock in the morning, we realized it was not going to work. And we booked it out for 4 days, and I had the media coming, you know, television station was coming to talk to me while I was doing the recording. It was just so organized and so planned, and we just had to literally pack up and work out what we were going to do, a total change of direction. And I said, look, I've got this beautiful, amazing piano at home. It's not a recording studio. There could be dogs barking, there could be anything, but let's give it a go. And we rang the piano tuner, and he came straight around. I went to Bunnings, which is a hardware store, and I bought a whole pile of this kind of black felt stuff that I thought might sort of work around the windows. I called my husband up. He came, he took all the mattresses off the beds. We lined the walls with mattresses. We literally made a makeshift recording studio so that we could record my piano. And that was the first obstacle. And it goes on and on and on. Then the piano tuner came in. We broke 3 strings straight away, tuning the piano. The piano's got a unique tuning system, and the strings are made from steel, so they're not normal piano wires. So we couldn't get replacement strings. So I rang the piano tuner, and he said, look, Fiona, you're just going to have to use regular piano strings, and you're going to have the tuner there, and he's just going to have to completely be there the whole time and just tweak for you, and it'll get you through the recording and you'll be fine. So that was the first, and it was amazing. It was just one thing after another. We had a helicopter, we had a dog barking, we had a council truck, we had rain, we had a power outage. Somebody had left a screwdriver in the piano, so we had a buzz that we were chasing for about half an hour until we found out there was a screwdriver in the piano. And then I think at the end of the first day, I hit the wall. I was just completely exhausted and I couldn't keep recording, but everybody cancelled their whole life for an extra couple of days to get this over the line because of the setup time. And once we got into it and we got everything organized, we sailed through it. And I feel like art comes from these really deep, difficult places. There has to be a little bit of adversity for you to really kind of, you know, dig your heels in, and a little bit of determination. And everyone was determined to make the album work. And we got it over the line, and I'm so happy with it. It sounds beautiful. I'm really pleased with the sound. Tom Eaton mastered it. Peter Stevenson produced it. I'm a very lucky girl after everything that we suffered to bring this album to life.
Yeah, it sounds like everybody will appreciate it a lot more knowing what you went through.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, very fascinating. So I'm curious though, and this is, I'm also a piano technician. So I'm curious, your piano does not have regular piano strings.
No, they're made from a steel. I think it's like a high tensile steel. I'm not a piano technician, so you're asking the wrong person for the details, but I can tell you it's very different, and it's got a different tuning system. So it goes down over through a patented clip and then back around. So you get this kind of, there's no, well, the theory is that sound follows that tuning peg around in a circle. So if you listen to the decay of a note, you can hear it turn a corner as it goes off in the distance. So in this case, the notes just have this sort of, there's no bend in the decay. So you get these amazing harmonics that just go on and on and on in a straight line. It's really beautiful and unusual piano.
Well, I can't wait to hear the album now, just to hear the piano. So this should be exciting. When is the album set to release?
It releases on the 22nd of August, but these days musicians release their singles 1 month at a time leading up to the album. So I think it's 7 of the tracks have been released. Okay, so we're waiting on the last 5.
And I think I saw on your Facebook page that you were announcing and talking about a release party on Facebook to get kind of a sneak preview.
Yeah, I'm doing a listening party on Bandcamp at 5 o'clock this morning. Oh my gosh. So it's 3:49 a.m. this morning now. So 5 o'clock Australian time, which is a good time for everybody else in the world. So we're doing a listening party, and Beth's going to help me and chat to people and answer questions about the music and where each song comes from and what it's about, and just all the details about the piano. So that's going to be heaps of fun. Everyone else can bring a glass of wine. That would be appropriate. And I will just have my cup of coffee.
Oh, there you go. Do we have any wine in the cooler there, Drew?
Probably a wine cooler.
A wine cooler.
Right.
Yeah.
We're not super high and fancy here. But something, maybe some potato vodka or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I heard all the struggles with you creating that album, and as a studio owner, that happens everywhere. That's even in our studio. We have all these weird little complications and stuff when we're doing and we're recording for LP for people and stuff like that. So we totally understand what you went through for that. Not in the case. I'm not a musician. For what I heard you play, when I try to do that, it sounds nothing like that. You are a fantastic, very talented artist. Very impressed.
Thank you very much.
Who were your influences, growing up? What got you interested and to make a career in playing piano?
Good question.
So my mother was 17 when I was born, and my grandmother moved in with a really beautiful 100-year-old German iron frame upright piano. And I fell in love with it straight away. And my mum showed me the stuff and stave and, where all the notes sat. To me, it was like a giant jigsaw puzzle. And I taught myself to read music. And it didn't take long. I taught myself Ferralese first. I don't know why I started with Ferralese, but anyway. And then they thought, well, she's 8 years old. I think we better get her taught the piano. And all I ever really wanted to do, right from the word go, was write my own music. But I knew that I had to learn how to play first. And my dad had a lot of records, and I used to lie on the ground and listen to Ravel's Bolero. And I had this fascination with the instrument build and how each instrument came in and how it made me feel and just the rhythm of it and then how it went back out. And I loved that. And I used to kind of study that. And so I was very influenced by Ravel, Prokofiev, Peter and the Wolf. So right from the word go, I was influenced by classical composers. And these days, I guess George Winston, when I was in my teens, I wanted to be George Winston, like everybody else, and I remember writing to Will Ackerman and saying, I can play the piano, and I never heard back from him. And I read somewhere that he said there are 3 million George Winston wannabes in the world. And I thought, okay, that's me. That's why I haven't heard back from him, because I'm just another George Winston wannabe. But I ended up charting an album at #1 on the New Age Reporter. It's now called the Zone Reporter. And I got an email from Will Ackerman, and he said, I think, because I'd recorded it on a keyboard, and Will said, I think you better come over here and just have a go on a piano, And so that was the start of my career. And he just lifted my work from here, being recorded, on a keyboard. Being a little country girl I was born in Cessnock, in the back of the boondocks. And there I was, at Imaginary Road, recording for the first time on a grand piano. And that was just so exciting. And that just lifted my work up to the next level. And it's opened doors from there.
That's fascinating, and the fact that you mentioned George Winston as an influence for you. George Winston actually spent a night in our music store here in little old Crystal Lake, Illinois.
Wow.
He was performing at a local theater, and we provided the pianos for him, the tuning services, but he was a night owl, so that he would have been perfect to have on air.
Yeah. He's just an amazing player, and he's been very, very good to me. Very good to me. He's been really encouraging. We played a couple of venues, one night apart, that sort of thing. And he would leave me signed CDs, and it just really lovely, lovely gentleman.
Yeah, he really was, and it was interesting because I spent the night in our store. I talked about pulling an all-nighter. So he came into the store, and people would walk by their windows, and he's in the window playing the pianos, and nobody nobody paid attention to him. They didn't realize, why would George Winston be in a music store window at 3 in the morning?
Right.
But he comes in with
completely.
Yeah. But he has his army bag over his shoulder when he comes in. I said, okay, George, what's in your army bag? And he dumps it out on top of one of the pianos. And it's all these little notes that he said he writes notes down when he gets an idea for a song. And he writes them down. And he says the ones that come to him and pop up to him while he's working, it's meant to be that's what he's supposed to work on. So he did all night. But he took phone calls all through the night from friends. And probably you were one of them in other time zones. But he's a fascinating person. He was very kind too. Yeah. So it was sad that we don't have Winston anymore. But so that's fascinating.
But he's left an amazing legacy. We have his music, and wow, that's such a gift to the world. That we have George Winston's music. Yeah,
it truly is. It truly is. Now, I also understand, I guess this was a few years ago, but tell me about, you were part of a Grammy-winning album. You composed it called Grace.
I had a song called Grace with Ricky Kedge and Voda Kellerman on their album Winds of Samsara, which won the New Age Grammy. And I wrote Grace, so that was super exciting. That was lovely. Yeah, it was really nice. I would love to be more involved with that sort of thing. And I've had a chance to work with some great people and do some great collaborations. So you never know. I might make it with one of my own albums one day.
Exactly. It should happen. It should happen. But who knows, this new album coming out, that could be.
When Shadows Talk. Yeah, you never know.
Exactly. If you had to describe your music to people, how would you describe your genre of music?
My genre. Okay. Well, I think New Age music. Yeah. I mean, I kind of think of my music as neoclassical, but in actual fact, it slots into. I mean, there's that umbrella of New Age music, and I think it's music that's derived from storytelling. It's music that has something to say. And I know a lot of music does, because that's exactly what lyrics does. But that we have to do it often without lyrics, writing instrumental pieces. So we're telling stories. They're emotional. They're about the world around us. It's gentle music. It's music that makes you think, that touches you, that it's often meditational. There's so many different crossovers into other genres within that New Age umbrella. But I guess music that's derived and inspired by the world around us and stories of our lives, I guess.
Yeah, I think that does come through in your music. I know when we listen to it, we get that feeling that comes from that.
I like to write music it's conceptually derived and that means something, that says something. The song Grace that was on the Grammy-winning album came about because a woman sent me an email and she said that she'd had a stillborn baby girl and that she now listened to my music 10 years later with 6-year-old Sophie Grace, because a little girl that died, her name was Grace, with her 6-year-old daughter Sophie Grace, and they remember her little baby sister listening to my music. So I wrote Grace, and that was exactly for that woman. I remember the first time I played it in Sydney, she came to the concert and she came and jumped up on stage and she was crying. She gave me a big hug and it was so beautiful. And I thought, that's why we do this. We do this to touch people, to build bridges, to tell stories that matter to people, to say something that's important.
Lifting people's spirits in times when they may not feel that. Yeah.
And often if I'm doing a concert and I play Grace and I tell the story, there's a lot of women obviously that, may have lost a child. And quite often I'll hear the door and I'll hear somebody go outside and they'll always come back at the end and they say, thank you. It meant a lot to me. It really affected me and I've been crying. But it was lovely that you wrote that you did that, and it's touched a lot of people. So that means a lot to me when people say things like that.
Right. Well, and you did that for Grace and someone in particular, but there's obviously a lot of people that have gone through that very same experience.
Yeah, that connects
right.
with many people. That's a fantastic thing that you do there. I love it.
And sometimes I'll just write about a bird. I mean, there's a track on this album called The Brown Bird. What a boring title is that? But I was sitting at the piano and I was actually looking for inspiration. I had 11 tracks and I wanted 12. And I heard this incredible cracking sound literally right behind my head. And it was a bird hitting the glass. And it must have broken its neck. And I went outside and I just picked up it was this beautiful bird. And it had these amazing kind of golden brown feathers. And I held it and just kind of watched it die. It was horrible. It was so sad. And it was really emotional to do that. And I went back to the piano and wrote The Brown Bird. So inspiration comes from all sorts of different places.
Oh, it sure does. It sure does. So obviously we know you've got the new music and the new album coming out this year. What else is coming up what's in your future for this coming year? What are things that we should all know with it?
Well, I'm super excited about videos at the moment. And I've been doing a lot of video creation, not just editing and making the videos using my own music to tell the stories behind my music, but I've been actually shooting the video. I've been to Iceland, I went to Ireland, to Scotland, to New Zealand, getting amazing aerial footage. And I got the Silver Award from YouTube. I've got 125,000 subscribers. And that's only happened since COVID, since I was kind of stuck at home and learning how to do video editing. And I just fell in love with that. So that's an extra dimension to my music. It's just been a great thing doing that. So very excited. Lots of videos coming out, one for every song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exciting. We'll be watching for that. That'd be great. Be sure to, if you can, share them with us, and we'll be glad to share it out.
Yeah, I've got a YouTube channel, Fiona Joy Music. Just put my name in. Google kind of tends to find all these things. So I'm doing that. I'm thinking about getting back to touring. It's a big decision because it's been a while. Like I've done a few kind of streaming and online concerts. And, I still play for family and friends, and I'm writing all the time and recording, but I feel like it's time for me to get back to touring. So I think
I'm sure. I was hoping we would be hearing that you're going to be touring the U.S. and we would be close enough to be able to come hear you play in person at some point.
I would love to do that. And I've got so many amazing, fantastic friends in the US that I miss so much. So I'll be really, really happy to come back and do my old route, from New England across to Colorado and then the West Coast and play the venues that I've played so many times before. I would love to do that.
Well, I'll pop up a YouTube link here on the screen so everybody can see it. Check her out. Fiona Joy there on YouTube. Lots of great material out there. And make sure you like, share, subscribe to that as well. Because listen, when you want great music, or if you're, what I do, Tim?
What do you do, Drew?
I cook a lot.
You
right?
do.
I
You're
was
a chef
by trade for a while. Yeah. I pop on stuff from our guests in the background when I'm doing stuff, and that's you want to soothe the soul. If you want to check it out, youtube.com.
So you like cooking? Well, I am not a great cook, but I love food. I'm a real foodie. So what's your favorite food? What do you cook?
Thank God I'm not on camera. I'm very sugar coated. So listen, Fiona, I can cook just about anything. What are my favorites? Well, I'm a Chicago Italian kid, so I make Italian food a lot. I can make just about anything. What's my signature dish is an ossobuco oxtail over braised kale and roasted garlic and red beans and rice. A little bit of a soul fusion. Real good, not real healthy. It goes right to the heart. It fills in a lot of dimples, but the flavors will blow your head off. It's so good. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that sounds amazing. I wish I could cook a lot better. I can make cakes, and that's about it.
Well, my wife too. She's a certified chef, pastry chef. So we both come from food. In our family and our bloodlines. So my kids even cook. They're I got a 16-year-old that likes to throw down a challenge with us. We're like, I'll make that better than you did, So, but when we're in the background, we like to play music in the background. A lot, it's a choice of the day. It's a lot of rock, paper, scissors, hand game between us and the kids of what we're going to listen to. And believe it or not, my youngest, she's huge into smooth jazz. She's a flautist. She's first chair in her school. And, she's a growing musician to where I can play the triangle and that's about it.
Play a triangle. You get that note.
I do. I have a following of one.
A triangle following. Wow. You could have a triangle Instagram page.
My wife, and she only watches to make fun of me. But that's okay. That's why.
I never listen to my music for like when I'm at home, cooking or doing whatever. I never listen to my own music. And I actually oddly don't listen to new age music. I listen to all sorts of different things, but it's usually something, really up tempo that kind of keeps me moving around the house, doing the housework or whatever. So
that brings up a question for me to ask you. So as an artist, and this goes in any direction, if you can draw, if you can sketch, make video, audio, if you can, whatever the piece that you're creating as a writer and a pianist, when is it done, right? Or is it everything always, when you finish writing a song, are you like, yes, it's done? Or are you like, I have to stop writing this, otherwise I'll never be done?
That's a good question.
Because I think an artist usually it's an ongoing scenario, right?
Yeah. And, I see so many people struggle with that, and with artists, painters as well. I think that's one of the things I've been really, really lucky with, because I don't procrastinate. I know when it's done. I know. And I'm 100% confident when it's done. And I don't go around and around and around in circles on things. If it's not working, I call it, I ditch it, I move on. But I know when it's finished. I feel it here when it's finished. And that's the thing that I learnt from Will Ackerman, was to feel the music. When you get that aha moment, and you know when something's finished.
Yeah. So what brings you to not listening to your own music in the house? Why would you not?
What was the question?
You mentioned before that you don't really listen to your own music.
Yeah.
So what is the reason for that?
Because I work with it. It's work.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't say that exclusively, because when I've finished an album, I make a point of listening to it as an audience member, and I'll sit down and I'll put it on the speakers and I'll have a glass of wine and I'll try and divorce myself from the behind the scenes and the detail of every note. The recording. Yeah, and then I'll try and listen to it and be objective. But for me, it's very much work. I'll go somewhere and they'll say, oh, let's put Fiona's music on. I'll go, no, please don't. Please don't. Can we listen to somebody else? Can we listen to George Winston, or Ludovico Einaudi, or, so many other wonderful new age artists that I really, really love. I listen to for relaxation, not for housework and cooking. I listen to kind of rock or whatever for that. But when I want to relax, I listen to Ludovico Einaudi or George Winston, Enya.
Enya, like that.
I like Diane Breyer's music. I like Janice Ian. I actually like a lot of singer-songwriter folk as well. But yeah, I don't listen to my music. I don't find it relaxing. I'm too critical of it.
You created it for others, not for you.
I created it to get something from here off. I don't want to put it back.
I like to sit back. I'll listen to it because it's part of my work, but then I'm divorcing myself from it. because if you're constantly listening to it, it's never done then.
No, put
So
it
you
out to the
actually
world.
are able to separate yourself from your work. That's brilliant. Brilliant.
Yes, I'll move on from it. And then every now and again, I'll go back and I'll go, oh, I'm just going to listen to Blue Dream, which I recorded in 2008. And I'll listen to it and I'll appreciate it a lot more having a little bit of time and space away from it. So, yeah. A lot of people listen to their music all the time, their own music. So we're all different, I guess.
Now, when you tour, it brings up a question. When you're touring and you're playing your music, do you play it note for note transcription from your recordings, or do you improvise it a little bit and change it up to the mood of the day and make adjustments as you go?
I play it note for note pretty much, but I never play it the same way twice because it's the power of the intention of, what your emotion is, what you put into that piece of music. And it may sound completely different, a different pace, a different, whatever you're thinking about is what you pour into that piece of music. Right. But I do start all my concerts off with an improvisation because I find it's a great way. Like George Winston, I play barefooted most of the time as well, unless it's freezing cold in the middle of winter. But I do the improvisation first so I can connect with the piano, get my ears kind of connecting with the music, connect with the, and by doing an improvisation, I can do that. And if I do lose my way in a piece that I'm playing note for note, I improvise. I find my way out of it by improvising. So I'm not scared of improvising, and I actually really enjoy it. But most of my pieces are written note for note because they're transcribed and available as sheet music. So people expect, if they're coming to a concert, to listen to a track like Blue Dream. They're expecting it to hear Blue Dream, note for note.
Very good. That's a fascinating part. I wanted to touch on one more thing before we wrap up today. I also noticed that you have wonderful visual artists. I saw pictures of your paintings on your website. Is that all you do?
Yeah, I used to paint until I started my music career. I always wanted to do the music career, but I was too scared. It was like that big toe in the water thing, too scared to do it. And then one time I had an art exhibition. I started out as an artist. And I thought, I'm going to bring the music into the art space. I'm going to record the music, use the manuscript on the canvas, and I sort of do that third dimensional thing where you can see it, hear it, almost touch it. And I will sell that. I think I had recorded my first 3 tracks, and I sold 200 copies, and I got orders for another goodness knows how many. And people started asking me, when are you going to do an album? And a record label somehow managed to hear it. And they said, well, we want your first album, and then we want your next album. We want the next one after that. And I thought, hang on a minute, slow down. This is too much. So I went into the recording studio and recorded Portrait of a Waterfall, and it did really well. And it went straight to #1 on the New Age charts. And I thought, I am okay at this. I can put my big toe in the water. It's all right. It's my life's dream to do this, and you're really worried if I do this and it fails. I've lost who I am almost. That's intact in here. But if I do it and I fail, it's gone. So right. I don't know if that ever makes sense to anybody else, but that was my biggest fear. And it worked. And I got to live my dream and be the thing I wanted to be more than anything else, which was a composer, and put it out there, and it worked.
It certainly has. Well, I'm hoping that maybe you'll make that trek over here to the U.S. maybe during the NAMM show time next January, and because I know
I have never been to NAMM, but I know
really?
Friends like Cookie Marenko and Beth Hilton and so many of my artist friends that go there. I would love to do, because it's just before the Grammys, isn't it, NAMM?
Yeah, Grammys usually are right after the NAMM show, because I know a lot of our friends, after they do the NAMM show, they stick around to go to the Grammys as well.
Yeah, I've never done NAMM, so that would be on the top of my list of things to do, I guess. I've been to a lot of the audiophile shows that they have, and I always really enjoy that, because I've done a lot of work with Blue Coast Records, recording in high resolution to to direct stream digital, DSD. And I really enjoy that world because I feel like it brings music to people's ears in the way that I would like them to hear the music. So I've done a lot of that, but NAMM's it's the big tick. I'm going to make it. I'm going to do it.
All right. Well, then we'll see you there. We'll do this a live in-person interview because we take a whole crew. So we'll be at the NAMM show and we'll have Beth with us. So that'd be great. So here's to the NAMM show.
All right. Well, we'll have a coffee or a wine.
Or both.
Yes. Sounds like a good plan.
Terrific. Where's the best place? People that want to know more about Fiona Joy music, should they go to your website? Should they go to YouTube? Should they go to Facebook? Any one of them?
Google's pretty good at that. I think if you go to YouTube, you get the visual because you get the storytelling, in multi-layered storytelling. Plus, I usually weave live performances. Like in the case of this album, I've done a video for every song, and I've actually used the footage from the recording session. Like we had the camera on roll the whole time, and I've sort of put that into it. So you actually see me recording those pieces of music. So you kind of get the full experience. You get to see me play, hear the music, and yeah. And my cats are fighting in the background. Can you hear two cats?
We hear that.
That's cat in the background.
So what's the cat's name?
Oh, one of them fell off.
What's your cat's name?
So I've got Maple, and Maple is a Burman. She's a white fluffy princess. She's really pretty. She's a blue point. And then I've got Oscar, and Oscar's just a garden variety ginger tabby.
Fascinating.
Alley cat.
Yeah, alley cat. There you go.
Yeah, and he's trying to dominate Maple because Maple's a princess and she wants to be on the top rung. They're both fighting for the top rung on the cat.
I'm sensing a story in another song for your next album.
Yeah.
Called Maple and what was the other cat's name? Maple and
yeah, Maple and Oscar. Yeah. Oh yeah. They chase each other around the house and yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's very cool. Very cool. Well, Fiona, thank you for being with us today. This was a blast. I hope we can do it again sometime. And like we said a few minutes before, maybe we can do this at the NAMM show. If you're there, we'll be there.
Love it.
Thank you very much for having me. It's always exciting putting out new music and meeting new people and finding new audience. So thank you for giving me that opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you. And if you need anything in the future from us, you can get a hold of us at 216 Creator Studios.
That's right.
Thank you, Fiona.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Nice meeting you.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Josh Langhoff, Wrigley Field organist, and you're watching Around the Piano with Tim Paul at 216 Creator Studios.